Raider Davante Adams was asked about which neighborhood Aaron Rodgers is moving to. His response, mine. So we now have Damian Woody joining us now. And here's the question, Dan. I'm going to start with you on this one, actually. Where do you think Rodgers has the best chance to win another Super Bowl, Green Bay or somewhere else?
Oh, it's Green Bay. It's not even close. To win a Super Bowl through the NFC is so much easier than the AFC right now. This is very similar to what I said about the 2020 Tom Brady move from New England. Get the heck out of the AFC. The AFC is a murderer's row of teams and quarterbacks. Kansas City, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Baltimore, Jacksonville, the Chargers. You have to do it in the AFC is so difficult. You got to catch breaks in so many different ways. The NFC, what team in the NFC do we really feel good about going into next year and maybe even the future that is going to be here for the long haul? Philly? I think Philly has got a chance to be really good for a while. San Francisco is going to be in that conversation anytime they have Kyle, but we got to see what's going to happen at quarterback for them. Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, somebody else. I think it should be those two guys. Detroit's going to be very good next year, but there's a bunch of good teams, but there's not many teams that have really good teams and absolute dudes at quarterback. The AFC has like 6 of them. So to win a Super Bowl, the best chance realistically is in Green Bay. To do it in the AFC right now is night-night.
Yeah, listen, I agree a lot with what Dan was talking about, especially the fact that all you have to do is look at where all the great quarterbacks at in the NFL
AFC.
right now. They all reside in the AFC. And the question is, what place gives you the best chance to get back to the Super Bowl? I'm damn sure not going to the place where all the quarterbacks reside, all the great quarterbacks reside. Like you talked about, Dan. You got Patrick Mahomes, you got Joe Burrow, you got Josh Allen. All those great quarterbacks reside in one conference. You don't have nowhere near the amount of quarterbacks in the NFC. And also, I look at it like this. I look at it with Green Bay. You look at what they did offensively. For a majority of the season, Aaron Rodgers didn't even play with his 2 rookie wide receivers for a variety of reasons, injuries, all those type of things. Didn't really have an off season to really, to really get acquainted with those guys, to really get all those reps. And then obviously during the season, for whatever reason, injuries and so on and so forth, they never really had a lot of reps together. We saw glimpses of what this offense would look like. We saw glimpses of Christian Watson, the explosiveness, and Romeo Doubs, and what he possibly would bring as a rookie wide receiver to the Green Bay Packers. And when I look at the Green Bay Packers, towards the end of the year, that defense started to play like what we thought they were going to play like in the beginning of the year. And so when you combine, if the defense comes out the way they played towards the end of the year, Aaron Rodgers get the reps with now second-year wide receivers in Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, and just being in the NFC conference, to me, that's the easier path to get to the Super Bowl. Now, listen, I've been a guy that advocated about the Jets because I like the pieces, but if we're going to be realistic, the easier path is the NFC conference.
Right.
How is the NFC conference the easier path? He's been in that conference for his entire career. He's gone to 1 Super Bowl, okay? He's lost over the last couple years in the NFC championship game or the divisional game when he had the #1 seed. So I'm sorry, but how is that easy? That's all I want to ask you. So when you look at it, yes, there's some bright quarterback play in the AFC. Aaron Rodgers isn't running from the quarterback play, okay? Josh Allen wind up losing to Cincinnati, not only putting up 10 points at home, mind you. Okay, so when you talk about quarterback play, Justin Herbert, young quarterback, he loses in the second half. Offensive coordinator gets fired to Jacksonville after putting up 27 points. Doesn't mean anything. Sean Payton, we don't know what that's going to be in Denver. We probably think it's going to be good because of Sean, but we really don't know. Right? Kansas City, in the Chiefs, we know what that is in Patrick Mahomes. Las Vegas, 0, because he's probably gone. Okay, so you look at that division. What is that quarterback play? Now you go to the East. What is Tua? They want him back, but do we know what that's going to be? The Jets need him in the worst way at the quarterback spot. They're young and tenacious on defense with Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner and the rest of the cast of characters. They get Breece Hall back on the offensive side of the ball. We know what they got in Elijah Moore. We know what the Garrett Wilson could potentially be. They showed us as a young fighting team that they was in the mix, Dan. And if you think, and I think I've seen you say this, and I think I've said it before along with you, if they just got Carr, they were a playoff team. Now, what if they got Aaron Rodgers? What if they got Aaron freaking Rodgers? Because we don't know what Deshaun Watson's going to be after a 1.5-year layoff. We think he's going to be back to normal. What's going to happen with the Ravens and Lamar Jackson? Are they going to fix this offense? Because you certainly can't win a Super Bowl. He can be an MVP playing dynamic football, but they can't win a Super Bowl with that offense that they've had since he's been there.
I think here's the thing, Key. There's two things could be true here. Are the Jets a playoff football team and a Super Bowl contender with Aaron Rodgers? Absolutely. No questions asked. Is the road easier going through the NFC? Absolutely. No questions asked. Just look at the Eagles' playoff run this year. They beat two teams in the playoffs. What did they beat the Giants? Like 35-7 or 40-7, and then they beat the 49ers 31-7 or something like that.
They're a team, though.
But that's my point. That's the only one team that we can sit here unequivocally and say, man, next year they're still going to be there. What other team in the NFC do we sit here and pound the table and go, that's going to be a beast to get through? I think Detroit's going to be very good next year. I don't think they quarterback hunt. I think they just continue to acquire talent.
Yeah, I
think
agree
Chicago's
with you there.
coming.
They got money.
Seattle's got a chance to be better.
Yeah.
But we're talking about a team. Green Bay this year had to deal with their left tackle being in or out and not healthy. One of their best players in Elgton Jenkins not being healthy. Their quarterback had a broken thumb. He had a broken thumb, and they still played Week 18 at home, and they lost for a chance to go to the playoffs. If this team can get healthy, now I'll preface it all that with this. If I was Green Bay, if I was the Jets, if I was Carolina, I don't care who it is. You have to be honest with Aaron Rodgers and say, listen, we want you, but you gotta be here in April and May. If we are going to invest another year, either Green Bay or somewhere else, whatever it takes to get him, I need your energy. I need your leadership. I need your presence in our organization year round. If he can't give you that, then we're having a completely different conversation here about Aaron Rodgers coming to your organization. But the easiest path to winning a Super Bowl is unequivocally, inarguably the NFC.
So why hasn't that happened over the last however many years?
Because it hasn't happened. That doesn't mean the path's not the easiest.
I'm gonna say this one thing. You know, Key, you talk about the quarterbacks and all the different things in the AFC. Remember this: the Green Bay Packers were hosting. They were the number 1 seed 2 years in a row. Think about that. Did they finish the deal? No, but they were still hosting the NFC Championship game in Lambeau Field.
I understand that.
Now,
but
can we imagine?
Lost.
Yeah, but that's okay. We're
talking about what's
the easier path here. We're talking about the easier path. In the AFC, you still got to go through a gauntlet of quarterbacks.
I take my chances with him on the Jets.
And I'm going to start with you on this. If Rodgers goes to the AFC, who is the best quarterback in the NFC?
I would probably have to say Jalen Hurts. That's the guy that's in the Super Bowl, right? That's the guy who took over for Carson Wentz in 2020, went 1-3, whatever you want to call that disaster. A year later, he gets the full-time job. He makes a nice run, gets him into the playoffs. He understands what the pros is all about. They lose to Tampa Bay. He comes back a year later, and he finds himself in the Super Bowl. I think the record was something like 14-1 when he was the starting quarterback and not missing games, and they lost to Washington, whatever. They were never going 18-0, so that doesn't really matter. Statistically, the style of play in which the Philadelphia Eagles utilizes is not going to put up gaudy passing statistics. He's not going to be a 6,000-yard passer regardless if there's 18 games or not. But what he does do is he wins. He's affectionate in terms of when he walks into that locker room and all the things that go on with that football team and leading the charge. Yes, they have great players on both ends of the spectrum, on defense and offense. They got a great offensive line and a dominant defensive front. All good teams have that. But the one thing that I can tell you at the quarterback spot, when he's the quarterback, they're winning, and it looks flawless. Every now and then, when he came back off the shoulder injury, there was a little bit of dip in play, but that's okay because now he gets the rest against the Kansas City Chiefs. In the Super Bowl, we'll see something different with this arm. But by far, I think he's probably the best guy right now if Rodgers is gone.
Yeah, listen, I think Jalen Hurts is probably the guy right now. I think are there guys potentially in the NFC that play maybe master the quarterback position maybe better? You could make the case that maybe a guy like Kirk Cousins, Kirk Cousins has been a heck of a quarterback this year. Just playing purely from the pocket, what I call the quote unquote traditional way of playing quarterbacks. Yeah. But I think when you look at Jalen Hurts, the improvement that Jalen Hurts has made in that aspect of his game has just been phenomenal. And obviously you got to give a big shout out to Howie Roseman for the acquisition that he's made, over the past couple of years to go along with, the improvement that Jalen Hurts has made. And then you combine that with obviously being a dual threat quarterback. That's the aspect of the new NFL where you see a lot of these guys, these guys coming in that's just taking the quarterback play to another level. So I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. There might be other guys that might play the traditional role maybe a little bit better than Jalen Hurts right now, but I think right now, as the question is being stated, I'm gonna give the edge to Jalen Hurts right now.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from with the traditional role, Woody. I think we're so past that though. You know what I'm saying? We're so. Yeah. You either can play or you can't. I don't care how it looks like, and I would make the case that the traditional role is 10 years ago type thing. You could either go or you can't.
Good.
Jalen Hurts is the next guy. He's the best young quarterback in the NFC. He's going to have a very good career for probably the next 10 years in Philly. But the best quarterback is still Stafford. If Rodgers goes to the AFC, it's still Matthew Stafford. It's still the guy that last season went on one of the, if not the best postseason runs as far as clutch moments and clutch play that we may have ever seen in the NFL. And I know this past season hurt. LA was decimated by injuries. But if we're looking at a guy that, if we got to win one game, if we need a guy for 1 year and we get to place that quarterback in the same place, same coaching staff, same system, same surrounding talent, we'll go with the guy that we know can absolutely play at the highest level. That's Stafford. When healthy, he's the guy in the NFC. If Rodgers is gone, he's the guy that we sit there and go, he can make every single throw at every single moment, at every single situation to anybody. And because of the way this season kind of went for their football team and his performance, we're overlooking that. Jalen's the next guy. He's the best young player at that position in the NFC. But when it comes, we could have a conversation too with Geno Smith. We got to put Geno in that conversation now as well. I said that this year. I don't know if there was a quarterback in the NFL, candidly, that made more perfect throws this season than Geno Smith, straight up. I can make that case. So I think the NFC is so opposite the AFC. The AFC has so many young superstars. The NFC, there's got a group of older guys, and then it's Jalen who's coming. Justin Fields, if Chicago handles him the right way, who's coming along. But I just think Stafford's still the best quarterback.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.